What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all the beautiful people. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, as always, folks. My name is ATX Crypto. Today, I wanted to discuss liquid loans. They're launching soon. We have an announcement from the creators of liquid loans and protocols and people who are out there. And I wanted to share some ideas. I've been using a strategy to test it on Testnet, which again, I highly advise people do, but we will check all of this out as well. So without further ado, let's take a little look real fast as to what Liquid Loans just recently had to say on the most recent video from CC, who is in charge or a part of the Liquid Loans team. Let me pause the music here so everyone can also hear it too, and turn this up. All right.
We have decided as a team that we will be launching in October.
Boom! Simple, folks. Simple as that right there. And again, this is also coming from Walrus, who is also saying the same thing, who is also a part of the Liquid Loans team. And here's what he had to say.
And guys, October is the month. It's the month for the launch. It's the month for October. We're going to see a big change. Let me know what you guys think.
Simple, folks. Liquid Loans is launching soon. And so I wanted to discuss some ideas that I ended up having and also some different items that I used to check it out on the testnet. Now, I will say if you do not have TPLS right now, it is a bit difficult to actually get the pulse done at that point in time to make it happen. But let me say hello to some beautiful people here real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's get that music back on. Here we go. What's up, Academaciated? Hello. How are you, my friends? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Giovanni says, not gonna lie, you and Westcott be confusing me. One day y'all super RH Maxis and clown the builders, then some days y'all cheering for new projects being built, then the next Westcott mocking builders and new sacks. Giovanni, everyone's gonna have a difference of opinions on this one, and again, I like to share some discussions on the Hex Pulse Chain ecosystem. Liquid Loans is something that I have actually discussed many times in the past, and it's something that I think is important for many people to understand, that when it does launch, to have a proper plan in place. Again, the 5 Ps of proper preparation prevents poor performance. We talk about it with the Patreon members, and we have a whole discussion as to different strategies, how we can earn some passive income, again, through different yield farm protocols in other areas. And again, this is just something that we have discussed through many of the weekly discussions. So it's something I wanted to share with everyone else. I had actually had a few friends I was talking about as well, just in real life, right, IRL. And we were just discussing it, and they were saying it'd be nice to actually put this out for the overall community, because unfortunately, I haven't really seen too many people actually using Testnet, talk about it, set everything up, or use it for any particular purpose. And so that's kind of what we wanted to discuss today, Giovanni. And again, I never mean to be back and forth. I don't want to feel that I'm sorry that you feel that way, for sure, and I'm sorry that I make you feel that way, right? I'm sorry to even put that position out there. But again, I've definitely always been a fan of things being happening or launching on Pulse Chain. And again, I think if you do have a solid foundation, which is what a lot of people are missing, just a solid foundation to support you going forward into the future. So any other decisions you can make, the solid foundation for the RH ecosystem is Pulse Chain, Pulse X, Hex, and Hex on Ethereum. So that's kind of the whole thing, Giovanni, but I appreciate your comment and you coming through and checking out the channel and watching this as well. DinoX5555 says, ATX, hope y'all are doing great. And we are doing good, my friend. We are doing fantastic, as a matter of fact. Gloria, hello, my love. Big GZ, salute. Hello. Yo, hit the like. Lee Daniel Moore, thank you so much for the kind words. Love the puppy in the profile picture as well. We got Heximus, my bro to you as well, my friend. Thank you so much to all the Patreon supporters who are out there. Again, we just got done doing the 23rd weekly group call, where we actually have a full discussion and make a plan for what's going to be happening in the near-term future. Again, y'all can check it out at patreon.com/ATXCrypto, and you can go and see all the previous discussions that we've actually had as well. Please deploy the likes on entry. Yes, Gloria, thank you so much for all the love and support on this one. Mooma, good afternoon, Hexicans. Appreciate you as well, Mooma. Academaciated says, LL and Power City should be stupendous. Yeah, what a word on that one, right? And again, I want to make sure that everyone's ready for when Liquid Loans comes out, right? So what I actually ended up doing was going to the Liquid Loans testnet. Okay, and you can actually go on to the testnet by simply going to testnet.liquidloans.io. You'll be taken to this platform, and this is where you will start. Now, keep in mind, there's something to know. When you end up doing this and you're on this platform and protocol, you do need to have TPLS, which is test pulse, in order to actually transact and use liquid loans. So I find it a bit hard at this point in time now to actually get test pulse unless you had actually sacrificed for pulse chain. So if you did sacrifice for pulse chain, you were given a certain airdrop when pulse chain first launched, and that was just due to the sacrifice amount that you had. Now, the value of pulse chain, or the value of TPLS right now on pulse chain testnet, is $1.59. So even if you just have like 10,000, or we'll say 10,000 PLS, and you can pretty much use this. Now, you can get a faucet of 10 PLS per day through the test PulseNet faucet or pulse chain faucet, but again, it's a bit of a pain. You have to do it every day. In order to use the Liquid Loans protocol, you do need a minimum in order to get started with creating your own vault of $2,000. So unfortunately, it's not an easy task to get the TPLS. If it's not something you have, you can reach out. I'm sure there's people out there who have plenty of TPLS to be sending it to different places. So keep that in mind whenever you're actually going through and doing this. So this is a new wallet that I just made, and I had the 50 million PLS sent over into this wallet to kind of showcase how we can actually use the overall vault and to use the overall Liquid Loans protocol, and also to get familiar with something called a collateralization ratio. And that is exactly kind of what we're going to briefly discuss here. Let me pull it up as well so I can just have this one ready to go. Perfect. All right, cool. So I'm going to save that there. That's cool. All right, so here we go. In the very beginning, you can use Liquid Loans to never have to worry about selling your PLS. That is the entire premise behind Liquid Loans. Never sell. That's what you hear all the time. And so the idea is that you can lock your PLS into a vault, and in return, you can get something back called USDL. Now, this USDL is going to be a stable coin pegged to a value of $1 for an exchange amount of the correct amount of PLS for whatever the price is at that time. So it's an algorithmic stablecoin pegged to the price of Pulse Chain. If you find that Pulse Chain is going to go forward and further into the future, then USDL is going to be right there with it as well. Always been able to exchange for $1 value worth of Pulse. So keeping all that in mind, the idea behind it is you can borrow some USDL and not have to sell your Pulse. That USDL, and if you can convert it into fiat and live a decent life without having to sell your Pulse. You can do so many different things with it that's up to you at that point in time. But the premise behind it is, again, you never have to sell your Pulse. And the way this works is you have to stay above a certain collateralization ratio. And all that means is basically if I was to deposit, and let's just say I use 10,000 in this example, I could then borrow 10,366 USDL at that time, which would put my collateralization ratio at 150. Now, the thing is that you have to know about this protocol is if you fall below 110 at any point in time, anyone out there, whoops, I'm not sharing the screen. There you go. My bad, y'all. So this is a brief example showing 10,000 TPLS put in here with a value that I could then borrow of $10,366, which would put me at 150 collateral ratio. So again, 150%, meaning that if the price of Pulse was to ever go down a certain amount, that ratio is going to decrease. And if it falls below 110%, you will be up for liquidation. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, the way the liquidation works is it's a public function that anybody can run. And I can assure you that people are going to be running this constantly. So you do want to make sure that when you are putting up your asset for PLS, you want to make sure that your ratio always stays in a good, healthy ratio. Because if it does not fall, if it falls under 110, what will happen is someone will liquidate that vault. And what that means is you will get to retain your USDL because that's what you borrowed out of it. But someone will liquidate that vault, meaning that pulse is going to be pulled from the vault and distributed to all of the stability pool, which is going to be in here. So keep that in mind when you're actually setting up these vaults and using it for the first time. Again, you do have to borrow a minimum of $2,000 in order to be able to at least start this protocol here. So if you were to do something like this, let's just go with 2,000 just to kind of make this a simpler, easier number. So we'll go 2,000 here and 2,000 there, just to make it simple. If I was to do this exact setup right here, my ratio is now falling at 144%. Now, what that means, again, should the price ever fall under a certain price range, I could be up for liquidation. Now, this is going to make a whole lot more sense if we just use the current pulse chain prices and where everything's currently sitting. So let's just say, for example, you have, we'll say 50 million, whoops, one more zero, 50 million right here, and that you're trying to borrow 2,000. Now that actually would put it already at, so let's just go 55. Cool. So this would put you at where everything's sitting. Current price of pulse chain sitting at 4043. Current price or current amount of tokens that you would put into a vault. The amount the pulse value is currently sitting at, and the loan that you would be able to take out. This would put the ratio at 118%, meaning that if the price just dropped even a simple 7%, you would fall under your 110% ratio. Okay, so this is not good. That's not good to fall under that ratio right there, because again, that means you are up for liquidation. So if you put yourself in a position where you take out the loan and you keep this collateral ratio very freaking low, and I do mean very low, then you could put yourself in a precarious position basically immediately. In fact, we've seen the prices of Pulse Chain drop 7 to 10% in a day before. So if you were to do this and take out a loan at such a small collateral ratio initially, then again, all the price has to do is drop 7%. You're up for liquidation. You lose all the pulse. Now, again, you get to hold your USDL. So there's that. But again, why? That's not the whole premise of this purpose. That's not the purpose of this whole concept. Purposes so that way you can hold on to your pulse, meaning it stays in a vault. You live your life. You do what you will. You can repay back that loan if you will, and that pulse is going to be returned to you, meaning you never had to sell. So this is just important to know, because I think a lot of people are about to get absolutely decimated on this right here, unfortunately. So folks, if you do not understand collateral ratio and what it means and how risky it is at this ratio, please do some tests on on Testnet right now. Go to testnet.liquidloans.io. It will help you connect to the Pulse Chain Testnet when you first connect to the account, and use it, test it, practice, get some effort in. Because if I was to confirm this transaction right here, I'm going to just kind of lock this up real fast, just so that way y'all can kind of see and just knocking this out, because this would then create my vault. Now the benefit of this is it becomes your vault. No one can do anything with it. No one can mess with it. No one can extract from it. The only time something is available to happen is if you put yourself in a liquidation where that pulse is going to get pulled. So it's going to take a second for the transaction to go through, but now the transaction's confirmed. Now, again, I've set up a vault where I have 122% collateral. Now, the reason why this is important to understand is if I want to add more collateral ratio to this to make myself more safe, more secure, more protected, all I need to do is add in more pulse without taking out any more USDL. So if I wanted to and put myself into a much better position, then let's just say I go with 2,000 here, which is again essentially double the initial pulse amount that I actually deposited, because it was only 1,700 I initially deposited. And if I just put 2,000 here, now my new ratio shows it would be 266%. Now that is absolutely a lot safer ratio than trying to mess with this here, because let's just assume that we have this at the value of let's just go a little bit higher here so that way I can just use the whole calculator to kind of show you. So let's just assume that we come back in here and these are the exact numbers of how this 300% would play out. That would put it at 150 million pulls locked up with today's current price 4043. The pulse value around 6,400. You taking a loan out of only 2,000, which again the minimum is 2,000, but only 2,000 there instead of extracting more would put your ratio at 322%. Now, why is this important? Again, because now instead of a 7% dip in price, it can now withstand something in the ballpark of a 57% dip in price. Oh, even more. So let's just get this going and find the exact. So there we go. So we're somewhere in here, a 62, 67, 60 somewhere, 64% price decrease. Perfect. There we go. My bad, y'all. I'm just playing around with some of this and letting the math do the thing that way we don't have to ensure the math is correct. Let the spreadsheet do the work. So in this situation, if you were to take out a loan and use the collateral ratio at 322% initially, and that's where the vault opened at, you can withstand a price drop of essentially 65% before the vault is open for liquidation and become available to anyone running that protocol. So does that make sense? Let me know if y'all have questions about that basic premise real fast, because that's the very beginning part of this as well. Yeah, exactly, Heximus. You said it right. You know what I mean? That's the issue right there. Thanks for giving us some top grade hopium, ATX. Adam Chadwick, thank you for your kind words. Thanks for the LL update. PLS can't grow without projects being launched. LL Testnet works great. Yeah, Testnet's been open for quite some time actually for the Liquid Loans protocol, and so they've been out for some time, and I don't know exactly how long. It doesn't say or anything like that, but they've been open for some months now. But now that they're actually have made an announcement that they're launching in October, even if they don't launch in October, let's say they launch in November, I don't really care of the exact launch date for them, but if they say they're launching soon, get familiar with the whole protocol so that way you know what you're going to get yourself into, because what people are going to do is exactly what I just showed you in the very beginning. Instead of putting this at anything, they're going to put themselves in this vault just so that way they can get a loan right away, because people are wanting to extract value somehow, some way without having to sell their pulse. And this is going to be a way for them to do that. But you see that if you put yourself in this position, heck, even a simple 7% drop in price can absolutely decimate you, right? We've said this before. This is even lower, right? Like this could not be a beneficial thing. And so I want to share this because, guys, this is very important to understand. If you put yourself in this situation, then yeah, you're going to be probably screwed, unfortunately. Easiest way to say it, you know? You're going to see yourself get liquidated real quick. So get familiar with it, guys. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. The 5 Ps, y'all. The 5 Ps every single time. I have quite a bit of TPLS, and I never sacked for LL at any time. I did use Testnet from day one, and swaps were giving back a lot of TPLS from what I remember. Yeah, so you don't need to have used Liquid Loans to have ever gotten TPLS. That's just if you had sacrificed for Pulse Chain, then you were given PLS tokens on the testnet. And again, that's just, and again, you even if you didn't, like, let's just say you had a bag of Hex, for example, or a bag of, yeah, let's just say Hex, for example, you can still go on testnet right now, go on to the Google platform and just type in Pulse Chain Faucet, testnet faucet. There we go. Let's go here. You go testnet faucet, and it just allows you to input the wallet address that you want this sent to. I can request it, and boom, this was just sent 10 TPLS. So you can at least get enough to swap items. So if you are on, like if you had Hex before, you can come in here and still go on to the app.v4.testnet.pulsex, all that good stuff, right? And you can actually come in here and swap that particular amount for other items as well. So that's just something important to know and something important to understand. You can do all that on the testnet and then eventually come back around to where you have enough to test the liquid loans protocol. Because unfortunately, if you don't have someone who can help you out with getting some TPLS, it's going to be a bit difficult to attain enough to even get that done. Because you saw you need at least 1,700, I believe. Yeah, something around the ballpark of 1,500. So it's one of those, like, if you did this every day for 17 days, you could practice, but liquid loans may launch by then. So who knows exactly how it'd work. Again, if you can practice, use the time to practice, all that good stuff, right? Test, all that good stuff. And that's exactly what we're doing right here, where we're actually checking out this whole vault system. So again, to recap, if your ratio starts low for whatever reason, you put yourself in this situation, you just want to get a loan right away, and you see the ratio is pretty low, you should immediately want to go back in here and at least put some additional pulse in and not take any USD out. You can see at that point in time, it will increase your ratio. Now, another thing that will increase your ratio organically is the price of Pulse chain raising. So if the price of Pulse raises after liquid loans launches and you put yourself at 122 and the price raises, that's actually a good thing for you as well, right? That actually means, and I'll just kind of briefly show you on this one. Whoops. So let's just go back in here and say that you put yourself at a 118 collateral ratio when you first got set up, and that's where you actually ended up doing it right away just to get the loan done. But let's just say instead of the price increasing, the price actually was to decreasing. Let's say it was to increase. And let's just say it went up, even just a minus 50%. Negative is actually a positive in this whole calculation system. You can see the price before was 4043. The new price is 40645. And you can see just with that difference in the price appreciation from Pulse chain raising, not even a 2x, my new ratio sits at 177. So keep that in mind. It works both ways for the price going up and the price going down. But if the price does drop on you, understand that you could be up for liquidation with a simple 7% drop if you put yourself in this ratio right here, right from the jump, right? That is below 110, and boom, you get liquidated. That 55 million pulse is gone. And just for S's and G's, let's just say you ended up doing 55 million pulse, and let's just say again for S's and G's that we end up hitting 4/10 of a penny, which is 2 zeros and a 4. That would end up meaning that you just lost $220,000. So I don't want you thinking that you just lost 2,300, because you lost way more than that, my boy. And so, because again, had you have never done it in the first place, well, I guess in this situation, instead of 220,000, you did get $2,000 out of it. So you would have lost 218,000. Again, does that matter? No, it doesn't, right? Like, you lost, man. And that's what I don't want to see happen. That's why I'm sharing this video right now. That's why I made this information about liquid loans. I feel like people are going to end up inevitably getting wrecked. So this is just one aspect of liquid loans, y'all. You have to understand, setting up the vault is a very basic premise of liquid loans. After you set up the vault, they have additional items that you can earn additional yield by. Once you actually get that USDL by putting in your pulse and pulling out your USDL, you can come back into the stability pool. And with that, I could actually go and put this 2,000 USDL and start earning 44% APR on this. Now, again, that's pretty darn good. And I've shown you kind of how to pull up and figure out how to do the math. But for just to keep it simple, I'll show you again, once again. So when you actually have the APR, what you want to do is you want to do the APR, so 44.07. And you want to divide that by 365 days, which is basically how many days it takes to, or how much you earn every single day, right? And so that's just a fun little basic concept that, again, when you start doing this and you say, okay, cool, at a $2,000, I'm earning 0.12% APR per day, right? That's just one of those things. And this is a variable function. It is going to fluctuate. The more people that get in and participate in the staking pool, the less the APR will go, the less the APR will be. And on average, usually these fall into a ballpark of about 8 to 15%. That's where you can expect the APR to fall. So if you are in it early, you can pretty much benefit a little bit more. You can also stake when you actually are earning the stability pool from staking your USDL. You earn loan and additional pulse. And so you can take that loan and throw it into another pool, which you can then earn some additional income, right? And so they have items in here that are going to be open. You can actually put your PLP tokens and actually stake your PLP tokens there as well. The heck? My puppy's chewing on something behind me. I don't know what she's doing. So anyways, got distracted on that one for sure. And again, even if you just like say you get paid in USDL and you don't want to go through the hassle of like just going to a decentralized exchange, for example, and swapping it at that point in time, you can come in here and to redeem your USDL for Pulse at that point in time. So if you're wanting to redeem something, keep that in mind. This does not go towards paying back your vault. To repay your loan, you must go into your own vault on the repay tab on the borrow USDL. So keep that in mind. Redemption is just like if you get paid, for example, merchant or something, gets USDL for the product of purchase, they can go in here and just swap it for PLS at that time. So, and then liquidations, again, anyone can run this protocol, folks. Anybody can run this protocol. You see, this is me that I just set up. And again, I almost kind of wish I could extract it down a little bit. Let me see if I can adjust it just so we can see again how fast like liquidations happen. Even on Testnet, I've seen them happen, I wouldn't say relatively fast, but I would say within the span of 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I did it right now, if I would actually be able to get something done. So just keep that in mind. And again, if I just wanted to borrow some USDL out of this as well, then keep in mind it is going to lower my collateral ratio as well. So keep that in mind. If you can just borrow without putting anything in, so I can't even get that amount. So 250. Yeah, so I put it exactly as. So let's just go here and just say borrow real fast. So I just stay at 110. See if anyone happens to liquidate me. I don't know. I've never been liquidated on here, but I assume it just goes, and that 1700 PLS would just be gone at that point in time. So that's why I'm using this for testing, guys. Like, learn how the whole system works, learn how this whole protocol makes sense. How do you actually earn some additional income? Do you understand how the whole collateralization ratio works? Because this is a big number right here, folks. And again, if you can be in the ballpark of a 1000% collateralization ratio, then that's just absolutely huge, right? So let's just go and add another 4 on this one, and let's just change this to 8 just so I can adjust some items in here. Whoops, way too high. All right, cool. So this is basically showing what a collateralization ratio of 1000 would look like, folks. If you had 500 million PLS and used it to lock it up in the vault at the current price where it's at right now, that would be $21,500, and you would only borrow $2,000 out of it. That would mean your collateralization ratio puts it at 1,075, meaning that you can now withstand a drop of 90%. Damn near, I'll say 89. Let's just pull it up here. Yeah, it's like 89.5, somewhere in that ballpark. 89.7, 89.7. Cool. Right there. So you can actually withstand a dip of 89.7 before you fall under the 110 collateral ratio, meaning you're up for liquidation at that point in time. So make sure that you understand how to be properly collateralized, and keep in mind, you know, we discussed different strategies of using this in the Patreon call as well. So just an absolutely great time to understand how this whole protocol is going to be working. Get familiar with it if you're not familiar with it. Understand different ways to make it happen as well. And that way we can actually be so much more knowledgeable when the time comes. Because, folks, I'll say I made some phenomenal trades when Pulse Chain first launched, only because I had been practicing on the testnet for damn near 2 years. And so get familiar with it while you can, because you can really make some amazing plays early. If you were wanting to participate in this, it is sometimes better to be early. They say the early bird gets the worm. In this case, the early bird is going to get the yield and that kind of stuff. But it's at your own risk and how far you're willing to go with it. And don't put yourself in a precarious position where you end up getting liquidated because of a 7% drop in price. Like, that, to me, seems like some of the dumbest things you can possibly do, right? Like, and again, to show you on this one, just to kind of give you a brief example on how fast this kind of stuff can happen, folks. This is This is Pulse Chain on a daily right here. And this is, again, within this one day, it dropped 6%. But within the span of 3 days or 4 days, 3 days, it's dropped 11%. So understand that this is running a very serious risk of within 4 days, you could get liquidated, or within 3 days, you could get liquidated if you put yourself in that position. And if all you have is enough to be able to extract $2,000 in USDL, then by God, it's probably not worth doing. Right? Like, again, why put yourself in that position when you don't need to? And that's kind of what I see happening by you going and doing something like that and doing that kind of play. So hopefully that makes sense to anyone or everyone. Anyone heard or tried amplifier mining for Pulse on Testnet or live? 1000% APY or year? Yeah, I have not checked my Pulse. If you want a small bag to keep testing, let me know. There you go. Peter, hey, what's up? I love the name. Apprehensively try 7670. What's up, ATX? How you doing, my friend? As above, so below. Good to see y'all, ATX. Good to see you too, my friend. South Texas Crypto says best time to borrow is bottom of the market. Or bottom of the markets. You get much more runway. Borrowing at top or heated times means you have to have more of the collateral to put up. South Texas Crypto is nailing this perfectly. Folks, like, understand exactly what South Texas Crypto just stated right there. This could be by far the best time for them to have launched. Because had they launched previously to this, we've seen the price of Pulse Chain over the last 5 months, folks. And there would have been so many people decimated and wrecked. Things happen for a reason in such weird ways. For whatever reason, life has a funny way of doing that and just kind of allowing that to happen. And so, whenever I see this situation for people, again, make it 109. I will liquidate you fast. Yo, Marcel, hey, I'm trying. I can't take out more than the value is for the system. So, like, it does not allow me to go below the 110 collateral ratio because they understand what will happen if I hit below 110. So I can't force it. Even just taking out $1, like it won't let me. It just says no. I have to be at least at 110. And god dang, if you start at 110, expect to lose that shit immediately. Because that literally means the price has to go down a fucking 0.01 for you to be up for liquidation. And again, like, this is me sitting at 110 right now, but all the people that I've seen sitting at 110 have been liquidated within the span of 30 minutes or less. And that's on Testnet, folks. Why is it beneficial to liquidate somebody, or what is the purpose of liquidation? Like, how does it actually work? And so the idea behind it on liquidation is you are actually paid a percentage of the vault, 0.5% of the vault collateral, and you're paid USDL for gas fee or something like that. Now, again, I don't know the exact, maybe y'all can understand or explain to me this a little bit more, but it says gas compensation equal 200 USDL plus 0.5% of the vault's collateral in PLS. So I understand this part. That's easy. Does this mean they'll pay up to a $200 gas fee, assuming that Pulse ever reached $200 to transact? That would be mind-blowing, folks. But again, I'm very curious because, yeah, very curious. Or does it mean that they get 200 USDL just to run that liquidation? Because if you get paid 200 USDL just to run a liquidation, you bet your ass people are going to make that their damn job. They're going to make that a career. They're going to try to liquidate as many people as possible. And how will they do this? Well, folks, there are certain people in the ecosystem that are called whales, sharks, and dolphins. They have quite a bit of the asset in question that is up for the liquidation system, which is why leverage is not good. Right? Essentially, that's what this is. You have to, if done correctly, could be very beneficial. But you're not taking on like a 2x, 3x, 5x, 50x leverage. Nothing crazy like that. But if you do this collateral ratio at 110, you're asking to just get eaten up, because people are going to make liquidations on this their job. And again, how do I know this? Because people are going to control the price. They can say, okay, cool. What if I decided right now, today, to just sell X amount? Just that way I can just have fun liquidating people up. And what if that offsets the sell that you actually ended up doing? Then you end up like in a situation where this could be someone's career. So anyways, be safe, folks. Be safe, please. Be safe. I don't even like 144. Again, like if you break down some of these numbers so you can kind of see, and again, this is a fun little calculator that I made. But this is just one of those items here that, again, allow the ability to kind of see what could end up being a thing and what could end up happening. So, because what I could see happening is you start here with a collateral ratio of 118, which is crazy low. You get a price drop of anywhere between, what, 5% or something. You damn near almost get liquidated right away. And we've seen the price drop 5, 6, 7, 8% before in a day. And so I could see someone fucking a lot of people. Just keep it real, y'all. Like, there's going to be a lot of craziness happening. If you are going to partake in the liquid loans protocol and you put yourself in a 110 ratio, I highly suggest keeping some pulse on standby, ready to deploy in here, not taking out any USDL, and increasing this damn collateral ratio. Put yourself into a much safer position automatically. Have some standby pulse if you are going to do this. And some people are going to do this, so very curious. Folks, I absolutely loved having some fun information on here. Let me see what's going on with y'all beautiful people real quick. For those that don't know, where can you get the TPLS? Yeah, so you just literally go to Google, just type in pulse chain testnet faucet, and it'll be this very first one. And then you just put in your wallet address and request. You can only do it every 24 hours, so this one's already reached the limit because I requested 10 just a moment ago, but you can only get 10 at a time. So I will say it is a bit of a pain. Yeah. To any other Patreon people as well, I do help them out. I don't think that's a reason to join my Patreon to get TPLS. That seems like a silly reason, and I don't suggest that at all.
The fuck are you barking at?
Wife just came home.
Well, I sent many more texts. Come on, in your car.
Gonna have to catch the replay. Appreciate that. Tin Top, what's up? Crypto Stylist, hello. Make it 109 and liquidate. Yep. 200% minimum. Yeah, I mean, bots will do liquidation for sure. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I think bots are going to be set up so fast to run those liquidation protocols that it's not even going to be a chance. But I hope that helps everyone wondering and curious as to the liquid loans launch, what to do, and make sure that y'all get some practice on it as well. Get some tests, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.